we are going to veer a little bit. I think you will give me that opportunity just to allow Mr. A.A. Ajayi to present his paper on application of urine and as an alternative to chemical fertilizer into rural communities in Osun or your state. Please, I just crave your indulgence so that he may present that. And before his presentation, normally we're supposed to have the interaction, that is question and answer, after the entire presentation. But because of the urgency of time, we may
we march into the farm with the bucket or bowl of sand that we collected from the dung hill to fertilize our farm. Okay. And when I was growing up, there were these ibiras.
Sir, the mic is working, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I can speak to the door. The ibiras, they will come and do farming for us. And what they will do is, they will pack the rubbish that they've caught, put it in between, and put soil on it. Whereas we that we are the farmers in the village, we will burn everything out. By and large, you want to now ask, what exactly is fertilizer? Fertilizer is any material, whether organic or inorganic, that when you put it into the life of a plant, it will improve the growth and improve the yield. Now, there are many types of fertilizer. There are two major ones, the organic and inorganic. The inorganic fertilizer is the one we commonly know, the NPKs. And good old days, you find our farmers fighting tooth and nail to find out that they get this fertilizer to know. Unfortunately, these fertilizers are becoming hard to get and more expensive. So where do we go from there? And more besides, we find out that the inorganic fertilizer, the NPK, they are not good at all for our soil. After the little the plant must have taken from it, what happens? When it rains down the riverside and the water side, there is eutrophication of that body of water. Beside that, it percolates the groundwater and spoil it. So we now think of what to do. Now, the genesis of urine fertilizer. A friend of mine, we call him Dr. Aluko, went to Sweden and he brought back ecosystem toilet. But we cannot use it here. I was thinking on my mind, what shall we do? with the urine that we put apart. I went abroad. I was lucky to meet some people, a family, very close. The village is very close to Brighton. What they do is plant flowers. So one day they were using, are you using a chemical to kill the insect? Say, the insect will like flowers. He said, no, we are using fertilizer. What fertilizer? Urine fertilizer. Can it work in Nigeria? So I came back home. On the 14th of November, 2011, at the back of my house, I made 50 heaps and planted maize and okra. It was beautiful. Note my word. In November, dry. The maize was okay. So I told my friend, this is what we have. He told me point blank, you cannot prove to people with these 50 heaps of something that you have made something out. So we went out. We went to Ajagba in Olaoluwa local government. Incidentally, that was the village I was brought up. Then we also went to Idi Anyure. Idi Anyure is the Cocoa Research Institute of Good Oldies. The retired officers there, they are mainly farmers now. So we got them. Are you with me, sir? Sir? Okay. So we work on the urine fertilizer on an infertile land in Adagba and a fallow land in Idi Anyure. We got almost the same result. And the plants we used were Z-maize, maize, ordinary maize, and okra, Excellentus species. So it was so beautiful that what we did was all the plots of land were divided into 3. The first one is for urine fertilizer. The second one, no fertilizer at all. The third one is NPK. And you will see the result. The difference is just clear. Can I have this something, sir? Just roll on so I can tell you when to stop. Yes, next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. The problem we had was our culture. It is very hard for people to give you urine for research purposes. Even my friends, they refused bluntly to give us urine for the experiment. Now, I now thought, what shall we do? We'll tell the family head, look, you are going to use this on your field. Now, tell your wife and the children to urinate. But you find out that a female cannot urinate just onto this. But we said she could urinate in a potty and pour it immediately and cover up. There are other issues because of, I am running for time. Like covering this particular gadget so that the urine inside will not be decomposed to any other thing. Now, sir, next slide. Next slide, sir. Next slide, sir. That is the training workshop for farmers in Adagba. The second man to the left is the Oba of Adagba. Next one, sir. This is the preliminary lessons or things at Idi Anyure, where we taught the farmers what and what to do and what is what. Next one, sir. You can skip that. Skip that, sir. Now, making of urine collector. Very simple. the keg has two covers, one white, one red. You make a hole on the red one and put the funnel on it and use 4 minutes, this adhesive thing, to glue it up. That's all. Next one. The next one that we have seen there is the woman using, that's it. The woman making the mixture on their farm. We'll talk about that later. Now, that's how we collect urine. How do we apply urine? We dig a small hole, 5 centimeters to the stem of the plant. You will have mixed your urine fertilizer with water. Plain urine, you mix it with water, 5 mils of urine to 15 mils of water. That is your fertilizer, pure water. So you dig this little hole and we put it there. Allow it to percolate down, then add little water as if the soil has taken food and is taking water. So after that, you cover up. Now what happens is that when you use NPK as your fertilizer, only few of it will be used. Whereas in case of this organic fertilizer, it's in liquid form, and when you put it in beside the plant, the root will pick it up immediately. And we talk of micro and macro and micro. NPK, that is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, they are macro. Other little ingredients in urine that is not in ordinary NPK will add more support to your urine fertilizer. So the exception to the rule in case of our organic fertilizer is this: urine fertilizer is not good for leguminous plants, and you cannot use it on marshy area. That is, when you have wetland rice, you cannot use it. But you can use it on upland rice, the Bima rice we used to know good old days. So the results, let's go on, sir. Another one. Another one, sir. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay, this is the result. The blue one the blue one is urine fertilizer. The red one is NPK. And the other one is the control with no fertilizer. You can see each one of them like that. If you look at this particular side, you will see that we use the growth, the stem, the grid of the stem is much thicker than that of NPK. In every parameter that we measured, urine fertilizer is better than inorganic fertilizer. So, next one, sir. Again, the same blue for urine, red for NPK, and that and that. There's only one and only one place that the inorganic fertilizer was better than our urine fertilizer. It is on the case of okra. There were more abortions on NPK fertilizer than urine fertilizer. And that's the one you see by this side that is the abortion of the seedlings. Can we go ahead? Next one. Let's go. That is, that is the statistical analysis of the table of statistical analysis of all the plants. So next one, sir. This is the result we got in Adaba. The one here, by the left here, is the urine fertilizer as it has been labeled. Urine fertilizer, no fertilizer, and NPK fertilizer. I told you earlier on that the land in Adaba was an infertile land. So if there is no fertilizer, it's the middle thing that the farmer will get. Will it not be poor? And if he puts in NPK fertilizer, this is what he gets. Whereas on the right or the other side is the urine fertilizer. Therefore, urine fertilizer is better off. And mark it, how much do you pay for urine fertilizer? Free of charge. NPK fertilizer, you pay much and much. So, in conclusion, no, before we get to conclusion, I have this Ido experimental farm. Ido experimental farm was not part of the ones we are talking about. Now, what happened was that when I went abroad to present a paper like this, there was a question they asked me. Out of these things that you are saying, how many of the farmers benefited from it? No answer for it. I was totally floored. But luckily enough, when I came back home, I got a call, just like Paul got a call, come over to Macedonia and help us. The Catholic Church in Ido called me to come and help them. So like people we were talking before, I was showing the farmers how to do it. Can you see? This is the way to do it. Can you see? This is the way. I think I know too much. But when I got to Ido, I changed it around because of the question that was asked the other day. Okay, this is what we are going to do. Let's go to your farm and we'll do it there. Let's go to your farm and do it there. If yours is maize, we'll treat maize. If yours is okra, we treat it. And that's a funny story. A man had amaranthus, a 430. He used urine fertilizer for it. But when he got to Ido market, they rejected it. They said the leaf is too big. So like, are you going to sell tobacco to us? So the man took it to Bodija market, and God really paid for it. So all these things just like that. In conclusion, I want to say urine fertilizer is far better than organic fertilizer. And myself and my co-author, our mission is to introduce urine fertilizer to the rural populace because they needed it. Otherwise, why are people running away from the villages to the urban center? Because agriculture is no more in vogue. The land is dried for tilling and tilling and tilling is no more productive. Young people now run down to the urban center. If they have this urine fertilizer, they will stay put and make their money. So our vision is to reduce poverty in the rural areas. We want to thank the Oba of Adagba, Oba Wunano Adigun, Oba Chief Asakwe of Adagba. They believe in us and they gave us land. Ditto for Reverend Father Shegun Ake and Reverend Father Emmanuel Ajewole, all of the Catholic Church in Archdiocese of Ibadan, who believe in what we are trying to do. They gave us land for these purposes. And finally, I want to thank you very much for allowing me to bore you.
Yes, I think it should be a resounding applause more than this. Thank you very much, Mr.
Ajayi.
Mr. Ajayi, I really want to thank you very much. In fact, I think you have made my day for listening to this kind of presentation. Maybe just one or two comments before we open up for question and answers. I think this is a kind of research we should try to engage in. Unlike we people in academics here, in fact, many times when we do our research, the application, the town to gown is not really there. Most often than not. But this kind of research, I think it is solving our immediate problem. And it is technological in approach, because anything that is solving societal problem, it is technological. So maybe another round of applause for Mr. Ajayi. Thank you very much. Maybe I just have a question before. No, you wait. I think others are also going to ask questions. This application of this urine fertilizer, I think it's in ratio 1 to 3, 5 mils to 15 mils of water. Is it once and for all at a point where you apply it maybe once in 2 weeks, once in 3 weeks, or just once and for all? I know maybe for inorganic fertilizers, maybe when immediately they apply it, maybe once or twice, that's the end of it. And again, let me just say this. Aside from the yield, which he has said, we know most of these inorganic fertilizers, they have their own problem also because of the high level of nitrate. Though they pollute the environment, but even the remnants that we do take in the foods, most of them, given a right situation, they become nitrosamine, which are carcinogenic, and which may be the reason for some of these cancers of the stomachs and so on and so that. But for organic fertilizer like this, I'm sure such problem, because it will be even processed by the body before it eventually get out. So I think that is another good reason. I think such should be encouraged. So once again, I want to say thank you. So I open the floor for questions so that Mr. Ajala can respond to before going. Questions, please. Okay. No, let me know whether yes. Yes. Please, let's quickly come and answer. You will respond to everything together, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. That's fine.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adebayo Adewale from Nesria. My question goes thus. When you look at the urine fertilizer, we all agree that urine is a waste product from the body system. And urine on its own, when you look at the medical side of it, could contain bacteria, people with various diseases in the body passing this urine. And when it's now applied to food source, does it have any effect when the food is being germinated? That is my question, sir. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for the beautiful presentation. I want to know the practicability of the application of urine to a large area of farm. Because, for example, I have about 11 acres of farm where I planted watermelon. So how realistic is it to apply the urine fertilizer? Am I to call on people in that area to urinate in a bucket for me and all that? So, and then secondly, what's the duration of the application? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ajayi. Very fascinating lecture. In line with the previous two questions, I'm asking, are there health impacts to be careful of? And particularly, is it possible to refine it to collect maybe from a large reservoir, maybe public toilet, that kind of thing? Is there any way we can automate it and collect it directly? And of course, there's this cultural issue. When they sell vegetables, say, when people know that this vegetable is from urine something, I don't know how the response will be to it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate, and the presentation. I think we are going from waste to wealth. Now we have to start selling our urine because urine is now expensive. Yes, on the lighter note, sir, please, I would like to know what is the difference or how effective is the cow dung, the organic manure that we are used to, the physics from birds and animals. What is the difference with the urine fertilizer? Then secondly, what is the composition or the active ingredient in urine fertilizer that makes it more unique and more effective compared to NPK? Thank you very much, sir.
Sir, during your presentation, sir, PPEs are not in use. Protective gadgets, no mask, no hand glove, during your presentation, sir. What are the effects, sir? Thank you.
I'm so sorry. There are many things that you are now asking that I have to skip because I was thinking I will have 30 minutes to handle things, but I have only 10 minutes. So there are a lot of things I have to skip. So let me take it one by one. Sir, you apply urine fertilizer to the plant once a week. And it should be the same day every week. So if you apply it on Monday, next Monday you apply it. Now the problem it has now is that you now keep watching on the plant until it flowers. If it flowers, you stop using the urine fertilizer. Like if it's maize, when it produces stashes, you stop using it. Second one is, if there is a problem with the owner of the urine, we pray not, but then you find out that it is even good for some diseases. Like if somebody has schistosomiasis, now by using it on your own land, you stop it from, you break the circle. So most of these things you think that will cause problem, when they get to the land, they are not going, it is the root that will pick up the micronutrients and micronutrients. So there's no problem with that. The practicability is that the two experimental farms that we had, I don't know, yes, 200 hips, Igba. That's what we were contended with. And only few of us, only few people, just two people produced the urine that we used for the two farms. And we are looking into the way, because I won't tell you lies, it is very hard to start digging, pour water, start digging, pour water. It's not easy. But if you are doing it on a large scale, then you have farmers that will help you. 3 people will do it. One will dig, one will pour boring, the other one will pour water. That's all. But it must be the same day, every week. And you planted watermelon. I have said before, leguminous plants will not take in urine fertilizer because they produce nitrate themselves, like egusi, ekpa, and the likes. So, and watermelon. Oga asks of protection. What we have is no public health and something. No, something as somebody asked about urine in South Africa. If you put your clothes outside, you will meet it there tomorrow. If you put your urine outside, you will not meet it there tomorrow, because a keg of 5 liters urine is sold for 10 rands. And if you multiply that by then, when we had the experiment, it was 1 to 9. 9 naira to 1 rand. Multiply 10 by 9, that's 90 naira for 5 liters keg. The petrol. So, other minors, we did not take up other minors. But, so I cannot say anything about that. We took up urine fertilizer. And what the urine active part is, the NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium that is in NPK fertilizer is also in your urine in abundance. Apart from that urine fertilizer has above NPK is that other micronutrients in your body that has been passed out, part of vitamin, this and that you have taken in and you pass out in your urine forms micronutrients for the plant, which is not available in inorganic fertilizer. We talk of protective, not only protection. The Muslims in the Quran hadith says you can be polluted by urine. So how do we get people not to be polluted by urine? So we introduce gloves to them, and the Yoruba man says, "Sokoto tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ àrán kò délé." So they can wear protective dress on the farm, and they will not allow the urine to split all about. As simple as that. I think that's all, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Maybe just to add this, we know most of the diseases that are transmissible to other organisms. They are not there is no common link between man and plant as much. Though in case of animals, some zoonotic disease can occur, but in terms of man to animals, moreover, that the environment of the soil will not provide a conducive one for most of those germs. In fact, it might be a kind of eliminating processes of those germs, because the vectors and all other things that normally carries those germs might not really be present in that soil. The temperature will not favor, the pH will not favor, the water content will not favor. And I think it's a better way of eliminating those germs. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I hope we will try to refine this kind of experiment. We see a way of how we can really, though the analysis of urine will have been done many, many times, yes. But if there is a way we can refine this kind of this experiment and say upgrade it biotechnologically so that it can be applied commercially, we will welcome that. Maybe the communique after this conference will really address such problems. So once again, Mr. Ajayi, we want to really thank you. So thank you very much, sir. The next on the line, the next speaker is Dr. Abide, who is going to present the next paper. That is on impact of air pollution on human nutrition and health. I think you are representing Dr. Babatunde Rabiu, sir. Okay, Professor Rabiu. So let's welcome Dr. Abide to the podium. Thank you very much, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to stand on the existing protocols. Nonetheless, I want to recognize in absentia the Vice Chancellor of this university, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, and all other principal officers, all professors and distinguished academics that are here seated. I want to thank the Executive Secretary, Osun State Health Insurance Scheme, Dr. Ogene, that's the way I call him, the LOC members of this 4th National Conference, distinguished men and women on the high table, that's the chairman, the technical crew, the state health workers, respected men and women of the press, my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I bring greetings and congratulatory message from Professor Babatunde Rabiu, who has delegated me to make this presentation on his behalf. Professor Rabiu is the pioneer director and chief executive officer of the Center for Atmospheric Research under National Space Research and Development Agency. Up until yesterday morning, he was really looking forward to be here until when an assignment arose for him to come to Abuja urgently. So he has asked me to tender his apology to the LOC and especially to Professor Ojo, and he hopes that his apology will be accepted and pardoned. Today I am like a proverbial servant in this Yoruba adage who was set on errand by the king. And in his journey, he has to cross the river Odoba. So Odoba is full to the brim. And the Yoruba people say that Obaran Inishe Odoba kun. Iṣẹ́ ọba rẹ̀ kò ṣe má jẹ́, odò ọba rẹ̀ kò ṣe kọlù. Bó la ṣe wá fẹ́ ṣe? So I am that servant in that situation this afternoon. Professor Rabiu is the Oba in this case who has sent me to deliver this speech on his behalf, which I must do. You are the Odo Oba that I'm facing. Because I have my teachers here, I have professors here and doctors, distinguished academics, and I ask myself, what are you going to say? Not only that, the person who delegated me was my teacher in the university during my undergraduate days. The person frontiering this workshop was also my teacher during my undergraduate days, the person of Professor Ojo. So you can see my dilemma, but I will try my luck. Thank you. So I will go quickly into my presentation and hope I'm mindful of the time. Impact of air pollution on human nutrition and health. I am not a nutritionist. Well, I can speak a little bit about air pollution because I have my background in atmospheric physics, and I did some work on air pollution, measuring of particulate matter in some states of Nigeria, and I have done an experiment measurement in some industries. So please permit me if I'm not comfortable with the nutrition aspect. This is a presentation given to me to deliver. So this is the outline. I'll just talk about a brief thing. Important in the discussion is criteria pollutant and the National Ambient Air Quality Standard limits. Why the interest in air pollution, nutrition, public health nexus. And then I will give a clarion call and a conclusion. Now, the objective of this presentation is twofold. Number one is to provide us with perspectives on the nexus between air pollution and public nutrition. And by so doing, we want to provoke us as participants in this conference to go from this place and start thinking of what is going to be the next action plan for us to contribute in solving this dilemma. At all government levels, and also to encourage all stakeholders and for individuals to become responsible citizens in this fight. And again, I will give a brief complimentary overview of the efforts of the Center for Atmospheric Research. Now, by the way of introduction, we present some facts and figures. It is about environment nutrition nexus for optimal public health. So why is this so important? Something attracts us. There are 17 sustainable development goals, and 2 of them we will be making reference to. The first one is the second sustainable development goal 2, and it is tagged Zero Hunger, with this slogan attached to it: Zero hunger, to end hunger, to achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. This is the goal of Zero Hunger. But look at this fact and figure, not our own words. These are the words of the United Nations on Sustainable Development Goal. Number 1, globally, 1 in 9 people in the world today, which is approximately 850 million people in the world, are undernourished. So in essence, if we shuffle ourselves in this conference, 1 out of every 10 person here is undernourished. Whether you are at the highest rank of your career, whether you earn 500,000, 1 million naira, whatever it is that you earn, whatever it is that is your status, 1 out of 10 people in the world are undernourished. 2, the majority of the world's hungry people live in developing countries, where 12.9% of the population is undernourished. And Nigeria is still tagged as what? A developing country. 3, Asia is the continent with the hungriest people, 2/3 of the total. Now, somebody may be happy, thank God it is not Nigeria and Africa. But if you go to the 4th fact, UN have asserted that in sub-Saharan Africa, it has been estimated in 2014 to 2016 that the rate of undernourishment is almost 23% in sub-Saharan Africa, and that poor nutrition causes nearly half of death in children under the age of 5. Our people say that Enyiloman di akuko, but unfortunately, due to poor nutrition, the eggs that are supposed to become the cock in Africa may never get to be that because of poor nutrition. 1 in 4 of the world's children suffered stunted growth. In developing countries, the proportion can even rise to 1 in 3. So if you look at these facts and figures presented by United Nations, you can see that Africa and Nigeria, which is the most populous in the African continent, is at the core of this. And then 66 million primary school age children attend classes hungry across the developing world, with 23 million in Africa alone. So these are the facts and figures, and that is why we should realize that this conference that is talking about nutrition and optimal public health is coming at the right time, and one that we cannot just push aside. Now, I will just quickly rush through this. So then, what is air pollution? And what relationship does it got with nutrition? Well, simply, air pollution means that you make something foul, you make it unclean, or you make it dirty, because it was derived from a Latin word called pollutus, to make something unclean, to make it dirty. So air pollution is a scenario whereby you have some chemicals in the whole 3 phases of matter, gas, liquid, and solid, that are present in the atmosphere above certain limits, such that they become harmful to human beings. Of course, we know that air itself is not a completely clean thing. Air is a constituent, we all know that. 78% of nitrogen, 21% of oxygen, about 1% of argon, 0.04% of carbon dioxide, and other trace gases. So for any air that we breathe in, these things are there already. But when you have other things introduced into the atmosphere that change this constituent of the atmosphere of air, then it becomes polluted. So if we talk about air pollution, where does it come from? We can trace air pollution to two different origins. Natural origins, wind erosion of bare soils, land and desert, forest fires, volcanoes, sea sprays, and even lightning. So these are natural origins that we don't even have to do anything about it. They will occur by nature. And the other source is anthropogenic. And that is where you and I play a significant role. Because this is based on the things we do. It is based on our lifestyle. Okay? For example, transportation. I don't know whether you've ever had this experience. Maybe you are driving in your car or a public commuter service, and then there is this trailer in front of you. And all of a sudden, you realize that you have to put on your full light to make sure you find your way. At that point, I've been in a vehicle that such thing happened, and somebody began to throw up because it was very choky. So these are our human lifestyle. What about industrial activities? Mining, building constructions, smelting, refining, manufacturing, pulp and paper, power generation, all these things. Municipal open waste incineration. All of us are guilty of this. God has blessed you with a house. You have made a fence around it. Okay? You are the king in your palace. And then behind your house, just maybe beside your kitchen or elsewhere, you have a dump there. You dump and dump and dump. When the thing is up, you ask, Kunle, Finasi. Okay? And then you start polluting the atmosphere. That's open incineration. What about wood burning for domestic fire? Our women in the rural places, they don't have access to cooking gas. They have to go get wood. They have to fan it with their mouth. They have to be there. Their eyes will be bringing out water, and they are inhaling all these things. So there are various sources by human activities. Now, the third one, which is where air pollution doesn't have boundary. Air pollution doesn't care whether you are rich, whether you are poor, whether you are anything. And that is the primarily or secondarily availability of air pollution. Now, you can make yourself as far as possible from a primary source of air pollution. That is, you make sure that you buy a house in the best part of the town. You make sure that you don't burn anything around you. You live in a very good environment. It means you have made yourself free from the primary source of what? Air pollution. But nobody on planet Earth can make himself free from the secondary availability of air pollution. Because this secondary availability of air pollution are formed by a combination of factors, atmospheric variables. The air pollution is released at one point, it moves in the atmosphere, photochemical reaction and all kinds of reaction takes place in the atmosphere, and then it forms another type of pollution. And that is why if you go back to the history of air pollution, the London smog, thank you so much. Okay, I will stop there. I have to move on. Now, criteria air pollutants. Now, we have 6 criteria air pollutants. And I want to talk about 2. You can see them in the slide. One is particulate matter and the other is carbon monoxide. And they have ranges. There are different standards set for them, both primary and secondary standards. Now, if you look at this limit, for carbon monoxide, for example, the primary and the secondary limit is 35 ppm. That the concentration of carbon monoxide must not go beyond 35 ppm. If it is above that level, then it is red alert. Now look at this value. 35 of a million. Parts per million. That looks so insignificant, right? Just 35 out of a million. But that's quite dangerous. That's why you read in the newspaper, we would think it's a rumor from a far country. No. They say a family of 6, they put on generator and all of them die before waking up. Why? Because your generator is releasing that carbon monoxide and the person is breathing in it instrumentally. A gentle dose, a gentle dose, a gentle dose, and the person is sleeping, and then the person will go into the sleep of death. That's how powerful air pollution can be. Now, particulate matter. These are particles in the atmosphere. Now, if you look at the next slide, please. PM2.5, what we mean by PM2.5 is a particle in the atmosphere that has an aerodynamic diameter. Here, if you pluck a string of your hair, it is about 50 to 70 micrometer. Your hair, the diameter of your hair is about 50 to 70 micrometer. Now, particulate matter PM2.5, if you divide that, it means your hair is about 20 times larger than PM2.5. How small it can be. And that is why it has the ability to penetrate into the lungs and cause damages. Now, health impacts. I just speak on carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is known to cause tissue hypoxia, which results when carbon monoxide binds with hemoglobin to form carboxyhemoglobin, which reduces the capacity to transfer oxygen. And this is what happened to victims. So I will skip again. Now, what is the interest in AP-NU-PH nexus? That is what we call it here. AP-NU-PH nexus. Why is it interest that this conference has to dedicate this section for this talk? That is air pollution, nutrition, public health nexus. Why? Number one, it has been projected that there's going to be a tripling in the amount of anthropogenic emission due to your activity and my activity in sub-Saharan Africa alone between year 2000 and year 2030. And this tripling in anthropogenic emission, the impact on human health, ecosystem, food security, and regional climate has been known to be potentially high. Now, global attention is now being drawn to a new indication of air pollution nutrition nexus in order to save the world from malnutrition. In the past, it has always been air pollution causes cancer, it causes this one, it causes that one. But researchers are now realizing a more subtle pathway by which air pollution affects us, which is through nutrition. Now, since the 1990s, it has been estimated that some 75% of crop diversity has been lost from farmers' field. Some of us who grow up in the village, inside cocoa trees, there is this ebolo leaf, this one, for this one, all kind of variety. You cannot easily find them now. Why? Because they are being lost. And these are some of the things that gives human good dietary values. Ozone precursor emission, nitrogen oxide has also been implicated. It causes stunted in the growth of plants. Sulfur dioxide and NOx, acid rain, when they fall, they affect our crops and then they damage our plants. Okay? And we know that human well-being depends on healthy, resilient ecosystem so that we can have nutritious food to eat. Now, I'm not a nutritionist. Traditional nutrition does with food intake for the dietary value. That was the tradition of nutrition. What food do we take and what value do we get out of it? But now, that has changed. People are now talking about a complete system where we can deliver sustainable, resilient food products from the farmer's field to the consumer's table. And in that process, air pollution has been found to be wanting. I will have to skip a lot of things. Coastal water pollution and eutrophication, our daddy mentioned it during the other time. That's under sustainable SDG goal 14. The fish in the ocean, it has been estimated that marine fish directly under it employ over 2 million people. And these things have been polluted indirectly by air pollution, and it's affecting our nutrition. All of us pray that when we eat, there will always be meat or fish on it. But these are our cows, we eat polluted leaves. Our fish has been taking polluted waters, and indirectly they get to us. So I have to just skip now. While presenting the Center for Atmospheric Research complementary effort, the Center for Atmospheric Research have been doing a lot also since its inception in 2013 to assist in this regard, not just about air pollution, but about providing support in terms of atmospheric variables, measurement across the countries. I will skip, it has mission statement, I will skip. 3 core goals of the Center for Atmospheric Research: observation, training and capacity building, and research. And they have a lot of laboratory, about 21 weather stations all across Nigeria collecting data. I have to say this so that at the end, people who are working in this area can have collaboration to know the links between nutrition and air pollution. If you have a field where you plant some things, sensors can be mounted there to measure the pollution level, and then it can be compared vis-a-vis your crop yield and see how this happens. I am very much against my time. Please, sir, the last 2 slides that I have a clarion call now to relevant government agencies, parastatals, public and private stakeholders. It is imperative for government and concerned stakeholders like you and I to actively engage in quantifying and controlling the amount of toxic air pollutant concentration released into the ambient air. It's our responsibility because it is the atmosphere that we lived in. And then there should be a collaborative research between health professionals and scientists to study the impact of air pollution of public health and nutrition. And this is where the town must engage. The gown must engage the town. We are the gown, we must engage the town, just like the last presenter said. And we should know there is a collective social responsibility for creating a healthy and sustainable system. We cannot leave it to anyone. That's what this foundation is doing by bringing this conference together. They are contributing their quota. You also can contribute your quota wherever you are by informing someone, by telling them about air pollution. In this way, we are building a nexus to help the next generation. In conclusion, that Africa's air pollution is on the increase is no more a news. That air pollution silently and dangerously sniffs life out of people globally is no more a tale by the moonlight. That our climate is affected by indirect forcing of air pollution is no more a rumor from a far country. Scientific proofs have been well established, and the evidences are all around us if we care to pay attention. Now, the effect of air pollution on nutrition is being established across all sectors of food systems, and it involves all forms of pollutants. So what do we do? Happily, this conference on environment and health is paying such a monumental attention to an aspect which borders on environment-nutrition nexus for optimal public health. To this end, while I, as a presenter, have talked the talk in this presentation, and many others have talked the talk prior before me, and so many people will still talk the talk after now, we must know that talking is not enough. Taking action is the most important thing, because air pollution does not recognize any border. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that brilliant presentation. Thank you. I'm sure that if you allow Dr. Abiye to continue, he may not leave this place today. I know he's fully loaded and he wants to discharge. I'm sure we can really call him Ato Fisher Ogunro. So I'm sure Professor Rabi will be happy wherever he is now that you've delivered. You delivered very well. So we heard about the impact of air pollution on human nutrition and health. It is time to welcome questions and contributions. Oh, please, I think what we agree is that after we only allow the first speaker because of the exigency of time. Please, the second speaker will be coming on board, and that is Professor Mrs. Beatrice Ogumba, who will be talking on breast milk. the environment-friendly source of perfect nutrition for infants. Here, kindly all welcome to the podium Professor Mrs. Beatrice Ogunwa. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. Permit me to stand on the existing protocol. And I also want to say thank you to the last presenter and to the chairman that is moving away. I hope he's going to come back before the end of the lecture. This afternoon, I'll be speaking on something that most of the elders in this place once enjoyed as children. But this day is gradually becoming a scarce commodity for the growing infant. So this evening, I'll be talking about breast milk. The first 1,000 days of a child is a window of opportunity to lay a good foundation for health. Any problem at this point can result into all kinds of health problems that could be prevented. If you look at Nigeria, the mortality in Nigeria when it comes to under 5 nutrition tells us that before 1 year, 1 out of 5 of our children die. All because we are not doing the right thing. We are not laying the right foundation for their health. Breast milk is the best food for optimal health of the newborn infant. It is complete. All the nutrients that an infant needs for 6 months is available in breast milk. And breast milk provides adequate hydration because 80% of breast milk is water. And also it stands as the first immunization for the baby because it provides prevents all numerous diseases for the infant provided through the natural immunity in breast milk. When it comes to breast milk, for a mother and a child, it serves as bonding. When you're breastfeeding your child look at you look at the child, you bond. And it also helps to improve maternal health when it comes to postpartum bleeding. After the birth, when you breastfeed very well, bleeding will stop on time. And it also, from research, it has been declared that breast milk also helps to prevent ovarian cancers and breast cancer. And also for breastfeeding. Globally, when you have continued breastfeeding, you are able to save 800,000 children's lives, all because of breastfeeding. But if you look at breastfeeding today, I said the other time, that is becoming a scarce commodity for the growing child currently in Nigeria. And apart from that, there is also a challenge because of the fact that it's becoming a scarce commodity. People go for something as breast milk substitute that could be a source of contamination for the growing infant. So when it comes about the growing infant has the first level of household contamination. When an infant is born, please go to the next slide, please. When an infant is born, next slide, usually in the hospital or at home, culturally we welcome that infant with water. They will tell you, the first time I heard it, I was shocked. That culturally we welcome baby with water. Also too, because of delayed lactation, for example, the first day, especially for the first-time mothers, the breast milk is not flowing. You look at it. What is happening to me? I need option. Then most of the time, they either give water. Why do mothers give water or any other thing apart from breast milk? Because we as health professionals did not prepare the mother for motherhood. Most of the time, the first day mothers don't expect, they don't know what to expect. On the very first day of birth, you don't expect a cup of milk. What you have maximum is about a spoon of breast milk, which is the colostrum that is serving as the first immunization for the baby. But most of the time, mothers think very first day you have a full bottle of breast milk, which is not so. So as healthcare professionals, we are failing mothers in that area, and they choose to run for water or something else that I will get to later. Also, talking about water, we use water for formula feeding, which I'll talk about later. And when you give water, you are reducing the amount of breast milk that baby is consumed, and you are also sending a wrong signal to your brain when the baby is lactating that I don't need plenty of breast milk because I have a substitute. So therefore, you reduce the amount of breast milk that will be produced for that baby. And when you give water, water can be a source of contamination. Next slide. Let's look at water. In Nigeria, do we really have good water to drink? The statistics here is NDHS 2013, Nigerian Demographic Health Survey 2013. Prove it to us that improved source of water, we have 77.6% in urban center, we have 44.7% in rural, and in totality we have only 59.6% population having drinking water, safe water to drink. If you look at the non-improved water, 40.1% of Nigerians don't have good water to drink. What about the time to get this water? Next slide. For you to get clean water in Nigeria, is either the water is in your premises. If it's in your premises, in totality, for the population, it is only 21.3% of Nigerians that have water in their premises. For those that will travel to and fro 30 minutes, 51.7%. For those that will travel more than 30 minutes, they are 25.9%. For those that can't even estimate the number of hours or minutes they will have to take because before they can have access to clean water, 1.1. And if you look at our rural areas, 52.6% of them travel 30 minutes to get water. Neglecting breast milk that has 80% of water. Let's continue. Source of water contamination. My brother have talked about contamination. People have talked about contamination. Today water can be contaminated through human sewage. It can be contaminated through chicken droppings, through cattle excrement, through abandoned refuse all over the place. This can cause germ and diseases for a growing child that is supposed to still be on breastfeeding, but is being denied. Contaminants in water. Oh, I've heard mother told me I can boil my water. Yes, I don't have to wait for that breast milk. In fact, my baby needs water. And I'm hygienic enough to give good water. Let's look at water. Depending on the type of contaminants, can we boil water? Yes, we can boil it. But will it destroy some things? Yes, it will destroy some germs. But what about some that it won't destroy? Yes, we can talk about germs like Cryptosporidium that can be destroyed. Well, but what about lead? What about nitrate? What about pesticide? When you boil water, you actually increase the concentration of this contaminant to a baby that is still growing. If you look at the next slide, diarrhea in under 5 children in Nigeria. Globally, we have 8% of diarrhea in 2016. In Nigeria, in 2008, we have 10.1. In 2013, we have 10%. In 2017, we have 14.5. That means we are increasing. Diarrhea disease is increasing, and you know diarrhea dehydrate the baby very fast, and that baby can just die in no second. A baby that should still be on breast milk. Let's go to the second household level, the contaminant at the second household level. Next slide, please. When a baby is born, it is either water. If you don't want to give water, or you say, yes, I can give my baby infant formula because of delayed lactation. Or because some mothers don't even plan to breastfeed at all. They don't want to breastfeed. They will tell you my breast will sag. Every breast will sag with age. What about challenges? Most of the time, the first time mothers, they are faced with all kinds of challenges because we did not prepare them for breastfeeding. Most of the time, we think breastfeeding skills will just come naturally. No, it's a skill that must be learned by both mother and baby. But most of the time, because they don't know, they face challenges, first with cracked nipples because of poor attachments. Or probably because of engorged breast and the breast is 2 or 3 times the size, it's painful. Some of them run away. And run to where? They run to infant formula. Now let's look at infant formula. What will happen when we feed our baby with infant formula? Babies are deprived of health benefits of breast milk. All the nutrients in infant formula is not the same in breast milk. Breast milk grow, the component of breast milk grow and increases with the age of the child. But when it comes to infant formula, it's just there. It's whatever the company is giving you that you have. Then you use water that is contaminated to produce this infant formula. Then sometimes mother, out of economic crisis, may dilute formula because they want it to last long. And I'm sure infant formula is not cheap. One of it is about 2,000. And a good infant will consume at least 3 cans in 2 weeks. That's 6,000 in 2 weeks. Double, that's 12,000 in 2 weeks. Where you can actually save yourself of the price by breastfeeding your baby. What about contaminants in infant formula? There could be residues from pesticides, from fertilizers, from cow milk, from soya. There are issues with soya. There could be issues with aluminium. There could be issues with lead. All in formula feeding. There could also be bacterial contamination. You know, there's sometimes that company we have to actually call back a whole batch because it's contaminated. What about salmonella? Unsanitary production. All kinds. And this other one, GMO. Is it safe for us? Most of our food, they are produced from GMO. Is it safe for consumption? What is GMO? GMO, as they say, I'm not a GMO expert. GMO, they say, is genetically modified organism in the laboratory where genes from the DNA of one species are extracted and artificially forced into the genes of an unrelated plant or animal. The foreign genes can come from bacteria, from viruses, from insects, from animals, or even humans. GMO. The question about GMO. Are all our infant formula GMO products? Yes, some of them. Are GMO products safe for consumption in infant formula? A lot of debates. For infant formula, you can be produced from 2 options. You can have cow milk-based infant formula. You can have soya-based infant formula. For cow milk, the cow milk itself is not GMO, but some dairy cows must have consumed GMO feeds that may, I'm not saying should or will, may have entered into our infant formula. What about soya-based infant formula? Some of them may have ingredients like aluminium, phytase, and phytoestrogen that might cause all kinds of effects. People have talked about GMO that can cause infertility, it can cause immune problems, it can accelerate aging, it can cause faulty insulin regulations. GMO. GMO and children. What are the concerns? When it comes to children are 3 to 4 times prone to allergies. They absorb contaminant very fast compared to adults. So when you give them formulas or water that are contaminated, they absorb it very fast and they have incidents and all kind of reactions because of their encounter with new allergens that is coming through their diet. And you know, when it comes to infant formula, is going to be the source of nutrition for these children for a long time. So you can actually predict the effect of that long-time effect of consumption of infant formula. What about their immature guts that are not ready for that? The debate about GMO, yes, can cause long-term effects and safety is not really guaranteed. But about human milk. Human milk is not GMO, it's not skimmed, it's not processed, it's not homogenized. Please, let's go to this slide, please. It's not packaged, it's not dried, it's not reconstituted, it's not sterilized, it's not wasted, and it's not GMO. So it is available for the infants. Then Why are we not doing it? Next slide. If you look at the prevalence of breastfeeding in Nigeria, globally it is 41. In Nigeria in 2007 it is 12. In 2011 it was 15. In 2017, 23.7. 12 years to move from 12 to 23, 12%. More or less telling us we are not doing anything. Whereas Ghana, that started with us in 2007, also on 12%. Currently, Ghana is on 62% exclusive breastfeeding. 62%. And we are still on 23.7. What about early initiation? Early initiation is that you attach that baby to breast milk the very first hour of birth. Globally, sorry, that slide is wrong, it is 42%. In Nigeria, in 2007, it's 30. In 2015, it dropped to half, 15. In 2017, we moved up a little to 32 to 38. What is happening in our hospital? The prevalence of breastfeeding is still low in Nigeria compared to Ghana, that's just close to us. What is going to happen when we don't breastfeed? We'll contribute to the market. Another baby born every day that will be fed infant formula. And what will happen to our environment? Our environment will continue to be contaminated from the infant production industry. Then our air will never be clean. Our water will not be clean. Our food will not be safe. And our environment will never be clean. Because when we choose not to breastfeed, then we more or less helping the infant formula industry. So what is the call this afternoon? To ensure child health through breastfeeding, policymakers must be sensitized about the positive contribution of breastfeeding to the environment. It is safe, it is not wasted, it's not pasteurized, it's not contributing anything to the environment. What about mothers? If I ask in this audience, how many mothers practice exclusive breastfeeding? I don't know how many people. Some people are laughing already. I don't know how many people will raise their hand that they did exclusive breastfeeding for their children. We really need to work together, like somebody talked about multi-sectoral. Nutrition is not a science for nutritionism. For us to achieve optimal health, all of us, we have to come together and work. Families must understand their role. Husbands must understand their role to encourage their wives to breastfeed by helping them with household chores. Mothers themselves should be knowledgeable about the fact that breastfeeding is good for their children and they should be willing to do it. Caregivers in the hospital, in the daycare, all of us must be available for us to keep our children from contamination from water and from infant formula. At the household level, workplace level, the employers must be ready to give paid maternity leave for mothers to breastfeed, to provide lactation rooms where mothers can breastfeed their baby. In the community, there must be mother-to-mother support. When I know the benefit, I encourage you as the mother to breastfeed. When I know the skill, I share the skill with you. For healthcare providers, we must increase the knowledge of our mothers at antenatal care clinics. It is not enough to just tell them, but what exactly are they supposed to do? What about the attachments? What about the challenges that they will have to face? What about the first day of lactation? What do they expect? After 6 months, what are they supposed to do? We need to equip them with the right skill. And everybody this afternoon, I want to encourage you that you can be an advocate for breastfeeding. Is still unprocessed source of perfect nutrition for infants. Exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months should not be compromised. Continued breastfeeding for 2 years should be encouraged. At household level, at home level, at community level, and at workplaces. Honestly, when I look at what we are going through with our infants, if they are exclusively breastfed, you don't visit the hospital. Because they will never come down with diarrhea. Somebody mentioned today that so many children did not have one single episode of diarrhea, go and ask. Probably that woman have done something about exclusive breastfeeding to guarantee the health of that baby at that time. I also want to make this call that breastfeeding conference will be holding in Nigeria very soon. And we are going to invite every one of us as stakeholders to come and join us as we work together as pediatricians, as researchers, as community health workers, as nutritionists, dietitians, to guarantee the health of our babies for the first 1,000 days. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. I think we will take this message home to those people that are still in the business anyway. Let me just crack this. My daughter was telling me a story about 2 days ago, because we encourage to breastfeed up to 2 years. So maybe she was telling me about her partner in the office. So I think that one gave birth just a month or 2 ago. The older one, maybe also just about 2 years, even not up to 2 years. So the woman said she was sleeping, so she thought she put the baby, the younger one. So she slept off. But by the time she was about to wake up, she discovered that the rate that child was breastfeeding, sucking, and feeling the teeth on her nipple. He said, what is happening? By the time he looked, it was the older one that was sucking. And then she gave a dirty slap. Said, what is wrong with you? I said, well, if according to Professor Ogumba, that one's still supposed to be sucking. It's supposed to be on breastfeeding because it's not even up to 2 years. So I don't know how we are going to solve this problem, because I'm sure we need to involve the family planners and to tell our people, because somebody has to breastfeed for 2 years, it means that that mother may not have anyone until another 2 years, and that is not the practice these days. So thank you very much, ma'am. So it is time for questions for those 2 presentations. The first one, the impact of air pollution on human health, on human nutrition and health. And the second one, breast milk, the environment-friendly sources of perfect nutrition for infants. So we want to welcome contributions and questions, please. Yes, one. So please, if you have questions, please can you come to the front here? So please kindly note your area of
I want to, afternoon, sir, ma. I want to appreciate the 2 presenters. Actually, they have spoken well. But what I observe, and I know many people do observe this, is that we usually, we are very good at planning, policy making. When he was talking, the first speaker, he told us of activities that the government of Nigeria has actually put in place. And when you talk, even the issue of breastfeeding, vis-a-vis, the breastfeeding aspect, we have programs, policies on ground. Implementation is our problem. Those that we execute, that we actually execute. I want to appreciate the organizer of this program, the Living Science Foundation. In fact, they have actually taken the right step. If we have several organizations of this magnitude, little all around in Nigeria, I believe it will go a long way to actually reshaping what is wrong, because we have actually misplaced our priority in Nigeria. Many of us, we want to castigate, like some people did this morning, try to castigate, try to, lord it over some people on the basis of environment. Yeah, it's good. Like we have said, the issue of environment is intersectoral, collaborative effort. And we can also see from the presentation given by the two presenters that actually we can't run away from the fact that we have to work hard on environment. It has been told that severally we've been saying that, okay, we have problem with air pollution that has to do with, chronic respiratory diseases, and so on and so forth. Now we are being introduced to the issue of nutrition. And I know as we are seated here, we are convinced that in a subtle manner, okay, our environment, especially the air pollution, is actually affecting our nutrition. And it is what we eat that will actually determine whom we are. I don't know if this body actually will come up with communique, I'm sure of that. If there is a way that you can actually incorporate, even with planning of this type of program, the government, when I say the government, I don't know, maybe you can understand me. Those that actually make the policies, they are not here. And sincerely, our problem is not only on people living in the environment per se. It is from the top, that is the government. The whole system is rotting down across the board. And that is why we are having problem of environmental sanitation, problem of this one that we are talking about now, even problem of breastfeeding. The whole system has not actually taken shape. I want to advise, I don't know, and maybe the presenter will also want to say one or two things on this. Those that are expected to regulate, okay, air pollution, are they given the necessary support? Are they actually known by the government? And are they actually known by the law? And my brother, I think, Doctor, are you listening to me, sir? I mean, those that are actually to implement the regulation of air pollution, are they on ground? I know we are all part of the system. I have a role to play. If I play my own beat, you play your own beat, everybody plays his own beat. I think we are moving forward. But there is need for us to actually sensitize the government, the policymakers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Aremu Samuel Olale. Quickly, before I move to my question and my contribution, I just want to respond to what the first questionnaire just asked. Actually, the regulatory body, which I happen to be part of an agency, Nestria in particular, yes, Nestria is really doing a good job, especially in Osun State, with the issue of air pollution. And I tell you the truth, people from Ife and Ikirun could bear witness that some of this industry has been clamped down to some bearable limits to make sure that they meet up with the permissible limits, just like Doctor have rightly stated. Thank you very much. Then back to my question, I would like to say thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, because I'm into that business you talked about. I'm really much into it. Yes, I want to say by the special grace of God, I have one baby. And honestly speaking, the first 6 months, nothing but breast milk. But honestly speaking, I must confess to you, presently, after introducing her to other food, after the first 6 months, my baby refused to take solid food. Up till now, we are battling with it. And you know what? My wife believes, and everybody believes, is because we did exclusive. In fact, when my mom came for Omugo, she wanted to start putting ata in her mouth. We said, no, you don't do that. We wanted to give her water when she was having ECOP. I said, no. And she said something. She said, I don't know, Prof. Are you with me, ma? That is aside. Presently, we are battling, trying to introduce solid food. Whenever she sees us eating, she runs away. But when you bring pap When you bring, what else? Golden Moor. When you bring anything liquid, she comes to you. So what can you do to that? I think these are the demerits of exclusive feeding. I might be wrong, ma. Secondly, with the issue of the economic situation of Nigeria, can we really have mothers that will do exclusive feeding? Let's be frank. In a situation whereby the mother is the breadwinner of the family and she has to go to work and she has a baby, please, how on earth? And she has how many months of what? Maternity leave. Please, how on earth will she cope with exclusive? How on earth will she give exclusive feeding? Thank you very much. On the other hand, back to Dr. Sir, on pollution. Honestly speaking, the issue of pollution, we've talked about it as multi-sectorial and the likes, blah, blah, blah. And I love, we've been hearing it and people will still come and tell us, blah, 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 stories. But I want to throw a question to each and every one of us. How do you manage your waste at home? Let's forget about the industries. Let's leave the industry to the government. But what concerns you and I, our immediate environment, how do you manage your waste at home? I tell you the truth, most of us practice what we call open burning. And if you're talking about having a dump site, the dump site in Osun State that I know about is around Ido Osun or thereabout. Doctor, please, I would like you to visit that place and conduct some little interview for the people living around there. My brother, they live on pollution on every day. So what we're saying is, this issue is, I think, is our attitude towards our environment. What attitude do you have towards your environment? That will determine whether we can actually curb this menace called pollution, air pollution, either water, air, or even land pollution. Thank you very much.
The presenters, it has been a very wonderful presentation, particularly the breastfeeding and the air quality issue. As a staff of the regulatory body, NESREA, I just want to enlighten us the more about steps that have been taken on the issue of air quality monitoring. The agency is trying to roll out a program on emission from both mobile and stationary sources. We are going to start that one with a lot of consultants across the country. We have been able to accredit some that will help in taking data on emission from generators, from industries, and emission from mobile sources like the vehicles all across the country. So that program is going to be flagged off any moment from now because all the groundwork has been done. Then the agency is also collaborating with other agencies that are handling the issue of burning, like the Central Bank of Nigeria, the NDLA, NAFDAC. So we are trying to introduce a device that is called air cutting burner that will make sure that the currencies are burnt, the drugs are destroyed, and all the sort items that are supposed to be destroyed in a sustainable manner that will not be emission. The agency has been able to import a prototype of that machine that's called air cutting burner, and we are trying to now partner with those agencies that must destroy some items because of the nature of the items. So we are also working on that. Apart from the fact that we do compliance monitoring of manufacturing sectors, think of even other quarries that are also emitting, to make sure that they comply within the limits of our regulations. Like I mentioned during my Google message, we have been able to develop a total of 34 national environmental regulations that touch on all activities, operations that impact on the environment, both in the green and the brown environment. So I want to state that we are still open to collaboration. We are still open to exchange of ideas from the academia and even the general public, so that we to enrich whatever steps we are taking in the implementation of our regulations. Thank you. God bless you. I think I want to say another thing. I think recently on the issue of breastfeeding, I think some states have adopted 6 months mat leave. Some states, I think they have adopted 6 months mat leave. I think Lagos State is even about giving paternity leave of 1 month. Yes. So I think 6 months is still covered for exclusive breastfeeding. Madam, well done.
I want to say thank you very much to the two presenters. They have actually done justice to the topics. I will start with exclusive breastfeeding. Now, one of the recommendations I also have in mind has been captured, and that is the fact that we are talking about equity. If you can give my wife 6 months maternity leave, give me 6 months paternity leave. I know some development partners. UNICEF, for instance, will give paternity leave to their staff, male staff, if their wife put to bed. So we should also, because if she's not even willing to do it, and because you are around, and because you also know the benefit of exclusive breastfeeding, and both of you are at home, apart from the risk of having another baby, I think it also has some advantages we can also explore. Then secondly, you also recommended orientating mothers. I don't know the orientation we want to give to mothers that has not already been flogged. I know when they go for antenatal or prenatal, whatever care they go for before delivery, the nurses do engage them in net education talks. And I know exclusive breastfeeding is also one of the items discussed. Are there other better ways through which this information could be passed across in order to engender a sustainable practice of 6 months breastfeeding? It's just a flag which we also think we should also need to consider. Now to Dr. Abi, a very good presentation, air pollution. But there's also a concept called atmospheric self-cleansing and deposition. Because we believe that by the fact that when you have air pollution, and then there's through the action of wind and then rainfall, there's atmospheric self-cleansing. What about deposition? Because I learned in chemistry that nature can never be destroyed. Something will happen to that pollutant, perhaps will transfer. So I want all you to educate us, if possible, on atmospheric self-cleansing and also deposition. What happens to the pollutants at the end of the day? Then there's also bioaccumulation and biomagnification. I don't know how this, I know lead is a cumulative toxic and that bioaccumulates in the body, and the effect we show after several years. Do we have persistent air pollutants that also exhibit these attributes? And some of these might also be found at household level. I don't know, because this was not actually captured also in your presentation. Then
And then we have, may I know who's there again? Then we have Dr. Abodushade C. and Omoniyi to present elemental constituent of Karika Papaya from Igbokwe and Ile-Ife, southwestern Nigeria. The lady, where is she?
Central Laboratory